New Zealand is a farming country. Through the length of both the North and South Islands stretch the sheep and dairy farms. Farms that are the quiet background to New Zealand's spectacular scenery. Farms that are the very lifeblood of the country's prosperity. To New Zealand, farming is the biggest and most important industry. 80% of all its exports come from the land. Types of farming vary with the lie of the land and the climate. Where the hills are steep is the sheep country. This is a typical North Island hill country farm. Once covered in forest and scrub, these hillsides were sown in English grasses 45 years ago and now carry 2 sheep to the acre. With no flat land and hills too steep to plough, this is pastoral farming purely and simply. Of all the labor-saving devices used by our farmers, the sheepdog is the most effective. Nobody's ever worked out how many man-hours he saves, but without him, these farms could never be made to pay. As on nearly all North Island hill country farms, the sheep are Romneys. Large and active, they do well on the hills, and Romneys and Romney crossbreds are by far New Zealand's most numerous breed. The success of good hill country farming is reflected in the well-kept buildings. The manager's house, the stable, the wool shed, the men's quarters, all of them clustered round the main homestead. A pattern of prosperity found on most of our larger sheep farms. To run this farm of 1,700 acres, carrying 3,400 sheep, it normally takes a manager, a shepherd and a boy. But at busy times, everybody lends a hand. The owner, who's retired from active farming, comes to operate the dip, and his daughter-in-law to help him. As he enjoys his smoko, the old farmer can look back with satisfaction on his pioneering days. With muscle and brain, he turned poor hill country into a good sheep farm. And now his son, who is his manager, carries on. Breaking in a new country made our first farmers amazingly self-reliant. They had to improvise and to take shortcuts to get the maximum returns. That ability is carried on by the present generation, and it goes towards making them among the most successful farmers in the world. Farming success also depends on farmers' wives. Their contribution is the smooth running of their well-kept homes, and for this they're renowned. Their meetings, along with the radio and the telephone, have done much to make country life less lonely. Children home from school bring local news to the farm. Our country children are fortunate in having good schools to go to, and for them, country life has no disadvantages. In fact, there's a lot to be said for it. Their homes are comfortable, and with electricity laid on to nearly all farmhouses, mothers don't mind baking. The type of farming varies from the warmer north to the colder south, from the drier east to the damper west. Where reliable rainfall guarantees a steady growth of grass are the dairy farms. There are 2 million dairy cows in the country, 1 for every New Zealander. Where there's a good rainfall on hill country, beef cattle are bred. With us, nearly all our beef cattle are raised on sheep stations, cattle taking second place to sheep. Compared with other countries, our herds of beef cattle are small. From the hill country, store cattle are sold to farmers on the river flats. On their smaller holdings and richer soil, the plains farmers specialize in stock fattening. To do it, they run the cattle, together with sheep, on the standard pastures of ryegrass and clover. No extra feeding is necessary. These 900-pound bullocks will be exported as chilled beef. Note the native white clover pasture on which they have been fattened. In the drier parts of the country, where grass growth is not so reliable, stock are fattened on supplementary crops. This happens in Canterbury especially, and these lambs fattened on rape will keep up the reputation of Canterbury lamb on the London meat markets. In the lower rainfall areas of the South Island, cropping is combined with sheep farming. From these mixed farms comes half our wheat. The other half is imported. Down the centre of the South Island and lying under the Southern Alps is a long mountain plateau known as high country. From this cold, dry area comes the country's fine wool. Merinos and Merino Leicester half-breeds thrive here, though often it takes 5 acres to support one sheep. Properties are large and 50,000-acre stations are not uncommon. For our success in farming, we owe much to good stock breeding. Pedigree stock such as these Merino rams set the standard. Merinos from Australia were the country's first sheep, and top-flight stud Merinos still come from there. From crossing a Merino ewe with a Lincoln ram came New Zealand's own breed, the Corriedale. A dual-purpose sheep famous for its meat and for its wool. Corriedales were evolved 85 years ago to suit the dry conditions of the downlands of the South Island. Similar areas of light rainfall are found in all sheep countries, so the profitable Corriedale spread from New Zealand to South America, to Australia, South Africa and the United States. Till now, they're the 4th largest breed in the world. In handling sheep, our farmers are recognized as being extremely efficient. One reason is that they have concentrated on only those breeds that have proved suitable for our conditions. By specializing, they have become experts with both stud and grade flocks. From England came the South Downs, and our breeders keep up high standards. For pedigree rams, big prices are paid. The return comes in fat lambs. By crossing South Down rams with ewes of other breeds, fat lambs of early maturity and prime carcass are the result. Breeding has altered New Zealand Romney Marsh till now our studs are a distinctive type. Well suited to the climate and conditions of the North Island hill country, they're by a long way our most numerous breed. Their hardiness and strong heavy fleece also make them popular. Results achieved with pedigree dairy stock have been spectacular. By using sires of proved butterfat strains, grade herds have been brought to a very high standard. Now, the best of them nearly equal the pedigree herds in their butterfat yields. North Island farmers with the right climate have concentrated on Jerseys. Friesians, Shorthorns and Ayrshires suit the colder areas. With beef cattle too, the emphasis is on the practical. The aim is to breed hardy beasts such as these pedigree Aberdeen Angus that will thrive under normal farming conditions. There's little use for pampered show-ring pets. In this country, normal conditions for stock mean that they're bred, reared and run out of doors all the year round. They're never housed in winter. Most of our pedigree breeds have come from Great Britain. These polled Herefords from the United States happen to be one of the few exceptions. We've always bought first-class animals and now sell pedigree stock to other countries. Having good pedigree stock has meant, of course, better stock all round. Successful stock breeding is one of the things that helps to raise our farming standards. The work of the Department of Agriculture is another. Dairy research is but one aspect of it. Its activities cover all branches of farming. These guinea pigs at one of the department's animal research stations are doing their bit for farming. What the laboratories and animal research stations discover, farmers soon learn from agricultural instructors and from pamphlets and journals published by the department. Our farmers owe a lot to the agricultural colleges, and for their research as well as their teaching. Besides courses for students taking agricultural degrees, the colleges provide special winter courses for young farmers. A lecture on the seed mixture for a good pasture is of special interest to a New Zealand class. It's a subject on which most of our farmers are well informed. The growth of small seeds and pasture management are two aspects of farming where they are highly successful. In recent years, more and more of our farmers have specialized in small seeds production. It's a highly profitable branch of agricultural farming with machinery specially adapted for seed harvesting and for seed cleaning. Most of our small seed harvesting comes under the government seed certification scheme. It's a scheme for making available to all farmers reliable grass and clover seed. To qualify as growers of government certified seed, farmers have to register their crops with the Department of Agriculture. These crops are officially inspected while they're growing, and after harvesting, strict control is kept over them. Before leaving the paddock, every bag is sealed by a government inspector, branded with a code number for easy identification and a sample of the seed taken. This sample is sent to the seed testing station where it's tested for type of seed, for purity and for germination. The standard of each farmer's crop is soon discovered. If it passes the tests, it qualifies as being suitable for sale as government certified seed, and a certificate for its purity issued. Using certified seed has made a great improvement in our pastures and our production. The skill and precision of this girl in counting out seeds for germination tests typifies the work of the seed testing station. Besides certifying established strains, the station is always looking for new ones. And from its first discoveries of reliable strains 20 years ago, the whole system of seed certification has been built up. When promising strains have been found, the seeds are passed over to the Scientific Research Department for outdoor experiments. It takes years of research to establish a type. It's a lot like breeding pedigree animals. Of the thousands tried, only a few are chosen. But those that are chosen can be relied to give us more feed and to grow for longer periods of the year. Grass won't grow without rain and sunshine. We get the right mixture of both for green pastures. We've got one of the best climates in the world for successful grass growing, and we make the most of it. Our farmers top dress heavily, especially on dairy and fattening farms of the North Island. The practice is so widespread that contractors specialize in bulk spreading lime, and that saves farmers both time and labor. What's more, it pays handsome returns. For every 5 tons of lime that's spread, there's 1 ton of artificial fertilizer used. For top-dressing hill country, we now have light plains. This method looks like solving the problem of keeping our hill country pastures up to the mark. With good pastures, good stock and good climate, New Zealand has everything in its favour. If the growing of grass and controlling pastures is one thing that our farmers excel in, fattening lambs is another. This Hawke's Bay farm on rich river flats shows what can be done by skilled management. It's a farm of 350 acres, of which 300 acres are permanently in grass and clover pasture. The New Zealand practice of running cattle with sheep to get better pastures is here seen at its best. With cattle eating the coarser feed and sheep the finer, pastures are kept in tip-top condition. On this 300 acres, 3,000 sheep, 2,000 lambs and 100 head of cattle are fattened every year. Every year the farm is restocked and every animal later sold as fat, all on grass and clover. Skill in fattening lambs is not confined to this one farm. It's widespread among our sheep farmers. They have specialized in it and know almost to a blade of grass what it takes to make prime lamb in 10 weeks from birth. Fattening lambs for the British market is one of our major industries, and over the past 50 years has become remarkably efficient. Rearing the lambs has become a streamlined operation, and so has the handling of them. Methods of yarding and drafting are designed to save both time and labor. Buyers from the freezing works quickly pick out the fats, and the others will be fattened for their next visit. Motor trucks take the lambs straight from the farm to the freezing works, so there's very little loss of condition. In no time at all, frozen lamb is in the ship's hold and on the way to the other side of the world. With dairying, our farmers are also highly successful. In no other dairying country is production per man so high. A climate where stock do not have to be housed in the winter certainly helps, but the credit lies with the farmers. They've always been quick to try out new methods and to take advantage of the findings of research. New Zealand soil is not naturally rich, and it's only been by enlightened farming and hard work that the dairying districts have been made productive. When it comes to thinking up labor-saving devices, our farmers are out on their own. One of the best examples is the walk-through milking shed, where 2 people milk a herd of 70 cows in an hour. This shed is standard New Zealand pattern. Machines do all the milking. There's no hand stripping. And when the milking's finished, the cows walk through the shed and out into the paddock. This system's both fast and efficient, though from the leisurely pace of the cow you mightn't think so. To obtain higher milk yields, intensive grazing is widely practiced. Cows are moved to fresh pastures in quick rotation, and electric fences simplify this procedure. The fences are easily shifted, and the cows can be put on new feed twice a day with little trouble. In the dairying districts, the springs are warm and moist, and growth comes away fast. This is a pasture of rye, cocksfoot and red and white clover which has not been grazed for 6 weeks. The surplus feed is cut for silage and fed out in autumn and winter when growth slows up. This is important for keeping up milk yields in the autumn. As a feed, silage is superior to hay, and as it's stacked when green, no time is lost in waiting for it to dry. No time is lost in stacking it either. Our farmers, in their usual way, make good use of machinery for helping with the work. The grass ripens fast in the early summer, and silage harvesting is always a race against time. On these Waikato farms in New Zealand's largest dairying area, everybody's rushed. In this district are some of our best dairy farms. This one is better than average, but there are plenty more like it. The farmer is a young veteran of World War II who has doubled milk production since he bought this 123-acre farm 7 years ago. To help him run it, he has one permanent employee and a temporary one. This time a farming student getting practical experience. This farm is laid out in small paddocks which he subdivides with electric fences for controlled grazing. Moving stock is made easy by 2 lanes which run through the farm. The 123 acres carries a herd of 88 cows. That is 1 cow to every acre and a half. Every paddock has water piped to it, so the cows have everything to make them contented. The grouping of the farm buildings is typical. The milking shed, a shed for the tractor and farm implements, and another shed for the truck and extra hay. All of these are handy to the house. The house, surrounded by its neat garden, is not large but comfortable. A good home complete with hot and cold water, refrigerator, electric stove, washing machine, telephone and sewerage. It differs little from a suburban house, and thousands of farmhouses like it are dotted over the country. For the farmer and his family, the farm provides a good standard of living, the return for hard work, long hours and good farming. During the milking season, there's little time to relax. Milking twice a day sets a rigid timetable, and the other jobs have to be fitted in between. While the herd is being brought in for the evening milking, the calves are being shifted. In rotational grazing, they precede the cows from paddock to paddock. On our North Island farms, calves are generally bucket-fed till 8 weeks old, and then reared on grass. The shed is the usual walk-through type, and with 2 men, the milking takes 1 hour and 20 minutes. This Jersey herd is fairly typical. None of the cows has a pedigree, but they're all high butterfat producers, products of good breeding. What's more, the performance of every cow is known. Once a month, the herd tester calls to test the butterfat production of each one. If any of them are poor doers, they're culled from the herd. The milk of each cow is weighed and a sample taken for butterfat testing. There's a numbered sample bottle for each cow. In a 250-day milking season, some of these cows give very high yields. Millie, a 5-year-old, gave 450 pounds of butterfat last year. Betty, a 2-year-old, 360 pounds. And Fancy, an 8-year-old, 470 pounds. Electricity does a lot of work for the farmer. It not only keeps his cows in place, but milks them, separates the milk, pumps water over the farm, and pumps skim milk direct from the cowshed to the piggery as well. All that has to be done to feed the pigs is to turn on the tap. This piggery is better than average, for this farmer happens to breed pedigrees. Every morning, the cream is left at the gate for the butter factory lorry to collect. The monthly check from the factory is the reward for the month's work. The pattern of life and work on this farm is repeated many times. From north to south, the methods of dairying are very similar. Yet in so small a country, there's an astonishing variety of farming. Fattening stock on the river flats that will carry 10 sheep to the acre bears little resemblance to high country life, where it may take 10 acres to support 1 sheep. There's good farming and there's the not so good. But for the country as a whole, standards are exceptionally high. That's why it's so prosperous. New Zealand is one of the world's great farming countries. For all who work on the land or deal with its products, there's much to interest them in farming in New Zealand.